ReVIEW is a 3-part program to help leaders lead with confidence. It starts by helping leaders review a situation that maybe has impacted on them, then to reframe what has happened and to understand it differently, and to rebuild a new way forward. In this video, we're going to be thinking about review, how you review the situation, perhaps to understand it a little bit better. You'll know possibly if you've met with me, if you've read the first chapter of my book, that actually I had an aspect of my leadership that really wasn't very pleasant. I'll never forget it. In fact, in some ways, it's a little bit of a scar for me. You see, I was a head teacher. I'd been a head teacher in this particular school for 10 years, and we'd done loads of work. We'd made considerable improvements. But following an Ofsted inspection that hadn't gone to plan, the group of people that I worked for asked me to leave. It wasn't pleasant. It was really difficult. And that can, and is perhaps for me, a bit of a scar. But I've learned to review it, to understand it differently. You see, you can go through life maybe with two different approaches. One is to have a binary pass-fail approach to things, seeing things of have I succeeded or have I failed? And if I look back at the episode for me and see that just as failure, of course, it can be a really difficult scar to manage. Or maybe you can look at it differently, have the second approach, actually have an explore, a curiosity approach to things. You see, there's a phrase I've come across recently which I think is really helpful for us reviewing things. It's do the best that I can with all that I have in the moment that I'm in. And when you review situations in that context, when you ask yourself, did I give the best that I could with all that I had at that moment? How did I do? When we begin to ask ourselves, what did and could I control at that point? What did my best look like? And in fact, if we're in a moment that we're finding particularly difficult, maybe ask ourselves the same question. What can I control in this moment? What is the best that I can bring with all that I have in this moment that I'm in? And so maybe ask yourself at that point, review back to the moment that you had, actually, where did I fail? And what was maybe the benefit instead of that situation? Have I actually failed? Is there something that I can learn from it? Is there something I can take from it? Now, maybe like me, you've read the Harry Potter series or watched the Harry Potter films, and you'll know that Harry Potter has a scar on his forehead. And it's a scar that reminds him of a moment that perhaps was extremely difficult. Maybe for him, he can't really remember it exactly because he was a baby at the time. But what you find throughout the series of books and the series of films, at times, Harry Potter's scar itches. It gets irritated. And it's normally when he's in the presence, in this particular case, of Voldemort. And so maybe for us, what happens sometimes is we come across situations where our metaphorical scar itches. We come across something that maybe irritates because it's very similar to the situation we had before. And what I've learned is actually, like Harry Potter, use our scar for good. Use the situation that we've had to review it and think, actually, what can I take forward from this? What benefit maybe could help others? And so I've got 3 key questions for you as you're maybe reviewing your situation. And the first one is, what can I actually learn from the situation that happened? What did I learn perhaps about people? What did I learn about myself? What did I learn from a situation like that? And maybe also ask yourself, is there actually possibly any benefit from this situation? Because I've actually learned, even though I thought, oh my goodness, this was a real failure moment for me, I found it's actually benefited me. Strangely. You see, I find now that people can really relate to me when I talk about failure, and I can understand the situation they're in far better. So maybe ask yourself, is there anything that I can benefit from this? Is there anything that other people could benefit from the experience that I've been through? The second question is, what insight can I gain from that situation? What can I learn from it? What can I take forward? Is there an insight about myself? Is there an insight that I can share with others? And the third question is, how can I help others? And how can I do it authentically? Is there anything I can take forward from this that gives me a better understanding? Is there anything I can share or encourage others from it? And how can it help me to be authentic? As leaders, it's absolutely key and crucial to be authentic. And actually, when we've had a leadership journey of ups and downs, when we've reframed failure and not see it perhaps as a binary pass-fail, but as a learning experience, it brings us an authenticity in our leadership that actually will really engage others to come and be with us and follow us and work with us. So as you review the situation that you've been through, think about those three questions. What can I learn and benefit from this? And how can I bring it to others? What insight have I gained? And how can I help others and therefore also be authentic? Review your situation.